Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your morning is going great. Mine's been really good, and we have an interesting video today, guys. We're starting off with the Florida Mayhem. Now, apparently, it seems like they didn't even have a coach for Season 1 of the Overwatch League. Logix came out on stream and just basically threw every coach from Florida Mayhem under the bus, and honestly, it sounds really bad. If I was in this position, I would have done the same thing. So we're going to cover that whole situation. This really looks bad for the Florida Mayhem organization and coaching staff, and the fact that it seems like the Florida Mayhem's coaching staff was so weak means that in regard of coaching for Team Sweden, they might actually be in trouble as well because they have the same coach. So we're going to talk about that, guys. After that, we're going to cover some of the aftermath from South Korea World Cup qualifier. Team Finland said some stuff. Team South Korea said some stuff. Both of them seem to not like each other. They're trash talking back and forth. Taimu, he says he wants to absolutely destroy South Korea. Then Fate from South Korea said that he doesn't think Finland was that good. They just didn't play well. We'll take a look at those quotes because looking at that World Cup qualifier, Russia really did have a good chance at beating Finland. And Finland overall just looked really sloppy in that match against Russia. So I don't really want to say like Russia is on the same level as South Korea because Finland had a close match with South Korea as well. It seemed like Finland was just a little bit more drained from the South Korea match. Now, I'm not trying to take a lot away from Russia. They were good. Shadowburn played amazing. Tonic was a huge surprise. Chow was good. They were a decent team, but I don't think they were a tier 1 World Cup team. And then Russia really did not perform at all against South Korea. Now, I know that doesn't mean a ton. We'll go ahead and dive into that topic a little bit more later. Then after that, guys, we are going to be taking a look at Jayne's Twitter. He made a couple tweets calling out the North American region and possibly some players about reputation and prior accomplishments. It's pretty interesting, and I kind of agree with him. So we'll take a look at that tweet, and that's going to be the video for today, guys. So if this sounds like a fun video and you're excited to watch it, please pause the video, go down below, click the like button real quick. It only takes a couple seconds, and it really helps me out. As well as that, if you haven't clicked that red subscription box yet and you enjoy my content, be sure to click it because I upload Overwatch League news and updates every single day. And now without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and kick this video off. Now, starting off with the Florida Mayhem, and this seems like a really interesting situation and not good for the organization at all. So Logix on his stream today came out and said this.
There's not like a set time where I can say like, oh yeah, that or that. It varies a lot. But quite frankly, we didn't really do much with Mayhem. Because Mineral, his style of coaching was mainly like very short term, I guess. Like he would do it between games. We didn't really go in depth in anything. He would just kind of say like his opinion of things, and then we would have to apply it. And then with Ryder was basically like, oh, we're not playing well enough for me to give feedback, or like we're making too many basic mistakes. And he just kind of said that and didn't really go. There were some things that we went in depth on, but a lot of the times, we basically got told like we're making too many mistakes and we have to fix those before we go in depth on something with Ryder. It was kind of weird.
Huh, okay, that doesn't sound very good for the coaches of the Florida Mayhem. Let's start off with Ryder first because I thought he came in and actually was providing really good coaching for the Florida Mayhem. At least that's what we thought like 4 months ago, because I don't know if you guys remember this video, but there was one where I talked about the Florida Mayhem and their upgrading coaching staff with Ryder, because Logix himself, the guy from this clip, came to my Twitch chat literally 4 months ago during stage 3 saying that Ryder was a huge upgrade in coaching. He completely helped them turn some things around, and that's why they're winning a couple more games now. He told them that they shouldn't be playing Genji anymore because they just weren't good at it and they stopped playing it, so they won a few more matches and scrims. And everything was going great. They were super happy. And this was like in the middle-ish, beginning-ish of stage 3. And stage 3 was one of their better stages. They went 1-9 in stage 1, 1-9 in stage 4, then 2-8 in stage 3, and 3-7 in stage 2. So like the middle of the season when they did get Ryder, there was a bump in performance for them. Maybe that completely changed once stage 4 came. Ryder got completely fed up with the team and was like, nope, I'm not going to give you guys my opinion or help you because you don't understand your simple mistakes. Which sounds really childish as a head coach. And is really bad too because he was like the only coach at the time besides Mineral, and judging by that clip, it doesn't seem like Mineral liked to get feedback either. And then Mineral also took like paid leave or something. He went and said that he was mentally not in a good spot, and that left Ryder for the rest of the season all by himself in Florida Mayhem with only one freaking coach. And we'll continue to talk about Mineral a little bit later. I just want to finish up with Ryder here because I got a lot to say about Mineral. I know they did pick up Yet at one time as an analyst, but he was probably new to the team and didn't really have much of an opinion either. Don't really want to blame him much here because Logix didn't say anything about him and he did come in late. So I'm not too sure what Ryder's problem is, but that sounds really bad. The fact that he wouldn't help them out because he was upset or mad at them for making simple mistakes. He's the one who needs to help them stop making those simple mistakes. He's the outside perspective. That's the problem with player coaching. They're inside perspectives. They're never going to see the situation as a whole, and almost every single time players will look at it from their own perspective, especially if we're looking at Western players, no offense, but they will. You need a third party objectively to look at everything and try to help everyone understand the situation. That's the main job of a head coach. You're not the strategic guy. Well, maybe in this case he is because he was the only damn coach for Florida Mayhem, which is an issue that the Florida Mayhem organization himself should not have put the team in. You need more than one coach in the Overwatch League. You paid $20 million for the slot. God damn, hire another guy and pay him $50K a year. It really ain't that hard. Like, please, your team is suffering. Now, I don't want to completely put all of the blame on the coaches and Ryder specifically because these players from the Florida Mayhem do have a history of not being coachable. For some of you guys who don't know where these Florida Mayhem players come from, they used to compete under a team named Misfits in Europe. Most of them were together for a really long time, and they were consistently one of the best teams in Europe. And at certain times, they were the best team in the world, it seemed like, if you go really far back. But a problem with this team was that they were always self-coached, and the time they actually did get a coach, the players completely shut him down, and he literally couldn't get anything done with them because they just wanted to coach themselves. They didn't believe in actual coaches. And then the first time this team actually got a real coach and stuck with him was when they picked up Mineral as a coach. Well, guess what, guys? Mineral was actually a player on Misfits prior to being the coach. So they transitioned somebody who was playing with all of these guys on that team into a coach. Maybe that would work out, right? But no, not really. It turned into more of a situation where Mineral was kind of a friend with everybody, and it was still a politic game, and he didn't want to give his full opinion or completely be a harsh coach like you need to be. It needs to be a professional environment. Your head coach needs to be able to discipline players, and those players need to be scared of getting disciplined. There must be consequences for players if they act up. For example, look at Fisher and the LA Gladiators. He acted up. LA Gladiators, they benched him for it. That's what happens. Players need to fear that so they stay in line and listen to coaches. And then for another example, we saw it with the Dallas Fuel during the regular season. KINGmykL did not want to discipline his players. They would keep going off on Twitter and social medias, acting like fools, making the team look like they were terrible, making him look like crap, showing that he had no authority over the players, which he didn't. And then eventually he got fired from Dallas Fuel for it. So the problem might not honestly stem from the coaches. It could be the players not wanting to be coached. I don't know the exact situation. None of us really do besides Logix and the actual players and coaches. I'm just going based off of what Logix said, and the whole situation seems to be messy. Florida Mayhem, they definitely need changes in the organization and the players. And I touched a little bit on Mineral there and how he transitioned into the team as the head coach from being a player, and then he ended up not being an actual head coach. He was more of a friend / a side guy, a substitute on the team, I guess you could say. Anyways, so Mineral is now the head coach for Team Sweden as well, and Team Sweden actually has some players from the Florida Mayhem, so Team Sweden in this regard might be in a little bit of trouble. Now, I'm not saying that Mineral's coaching sucks, and I know for sure that it does, but looking at what Logix said and the overall performance of the Florida Mayhem during Season 1, and then Mineral taking time off at the end of the season because he mentally wasn't in the right place, really does make it seem like Mineral probably wasn't the best coach for the team and overall might not be a good fit for a coach in Overwatch. I'm not really going to talk about this anymore. There's no need to. I'm just letting you guys know that he is the head coach for Team Sweden, and we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully they do good. I would hate to see any team fail, and that's pretty much it for this topic, guys. Let's go ahead and move on now. Alright, so moving on to this World Cup beef between Finland and South Korea. It's pretty awesome, and 2 interviews at the same time dropped on Invin, one from South Korea and one from Finland. Neither of these guys knew they were trash talking each other. At least I don't think so, because again, they did drop at the same time. But we'll go over Team Finland's quote first from Taimu. In the interview on Invin, he said this: "For me, the most memorable thing is the disappointment against South Korea. I definitely don't want to feel it again, and I want to crush South Korea in BlizzCon. The rest of the team also did drop some quotes. They were pretty much the same thing that Taimou said. They were disappointed, but they're happy to make it to BlizzCon. They're going to try their best to beat South Korea next time. Then, looking at the South Korean interview on Invin, Fate said this: "I don't think Finland was particularly hard. We just didn't play very well. We will not have any problems beating them next time." Damn, Fate going in. He says he doesn't really think Finland is that good and they're not going to struggle next time because they will play better. That's some pretty good trash talk there, not gonna lie. Makes me excited to see the next matchup. Fate was really the only one who talked about Finland on this interview. Everyone else on the South Korean team just seemed really excited to make it to BlizzCon and they stayed humble. But this beef is really interesting because Finland and South Korea did have an amazing game. Now, South Korea, yes, I do think they underperformed a little bit. Not overall, I think it was more specifically Fate, and I think he knows that, and that's the big reason why he said this. He did say overall as in like we as a team underperformed, but I think Fate individually underperformed the most out of anybody on that team. Libero a little bit as well. He played decent, but like he was quiet in my opinion. Usually Libero's not that quiet of a player. But overall, I do think Finland is still a strong team and they have upset potential. I don't think if they played South Korea like 5 times in a row that they would win many times, maybe like 1 set out of 5, because probably as time goes on, South Korea is going to improve a little bit more than Finland will. I think their skill ceiling and potential cap is a lot higher, just because the players on the team are so damn good, and if they mesh properly and start playing really well together, they're going to be unstoppable. Team Korea 100% has the highest peak out of any team in the World Cup. There's no doubt about that. Their players are too good. Anyways, that's pretty much all the beef between these teams. It's really exciting. I can't wait to see their next matchup. I hope it's a close one, but I do feel like South Korea would probably win next time. A little bit easier. Hopefully not, though. Fingers crossed, boys. I want to see Team Finland go deep. And real quick, I do want to touch on Russia. Earlier in my intro, I wasn't trying to take any credit away from them. They are a good team. It's just that I don't think they're on the same level as South Korea. You know, if Russia and Finland played over and over again, Russia might win a couple sets, but I still think Finland is the better team. They were definitely drained in that second match against Russia. They didn't play as good as they did against South Korea. As I said, though, in the intro, there really were some good players on Russia. I was pleasantly surprised by Tonic and Chow. We all knew Shadowburn was great. Mistakes is a decent player when he's not on Widowmaker, but Tonic and Chow showed up pretty good, especially Tonic. He'll probably get some Overwatch League trials from that performance in the World Cup, so good for him. And that's it now, guys. Let's go ahead and move on. And now for the last part of the video, guys, let's go ahead and look at Jayne's Twitter. He said this: "I think the North American region puts way too much value on a player's reputation and prior accomplishments, being really quite slow to admit when a player is underperforming compared to the average, let alone their peak. Also, stop attacking me when I call your favorite player bad." Yeah, guys, I'm kind of in that situation too. Listen, just because I call your favorite player bad doesn't mean you should hate me. Maybe I just think they're bad. I'm sorry. TIA. I'm not sure what TIA means. But anyways, I like this tweet a lot. And since we were just talking about the Florida Mayhem, it reminds me of a specific player on their team. I'll just go ahead and say it. Tavik. Yeah, he's a decent player, but honestly, it kind of annoys me how so many people hold him up to such a high regard. Yeah, prior to Overwatch League, and even going way back, like I'm talking early stages of Overwatch, he was one of the best players. When he was on Rogue, yes, he was super damn good. He was one of the only flexible players in the game, and he looked like one of the best players in the world, and he definitely was. But as time went on, I'd say like a year passed and Overwatch Contenders came out, Vic really wasn't performing that great. There were a lot of EU players coming out and starting to look better than him, specifically one being his own teammate Logix. I think during Overwatch Contenders, Logix was actually the carry and the better DPS player. And then looking at other teams like Giganti, I think Davin and Linkser were both playing better than Tavik at the time, as well as many other teams in the European region. And then going into the Overwatch League, Tavik really never upped his game. He stayed at that same average level. I'm not saying Tavik is bad and he's not an Overwatch League level player, but he's definitely not that superstar level player that a lot of people like to say he is. I don't think he's stuck on a bad team. I think he's part of the problem. Sure, he can flex a lot and play a couple heroes at a decent level, but that really doesn't mean a lot in the Overwatch League when you got players like Prophet, Carpe, Libero, Lynx, or Architect running around and just destroying everybody on every single hero. You have to be better, and I think that's an issue with Tavik and, as Jayne said, with a lot of the North American region. Look at Philadelphia Fusion, for example. They picked up a lot of players that were unknown and just didn't have big reputations or accomplishments. And it turns out almost all of those players completely surprised us. Yeah, Poco was somewhat known prior to the Overwatch League, but he wasn't a big superstar. He was just a contenders level diva, pretty decent player. Philadelphia Fusion, they went out and they knew they wanted him. Same with EQO. Nobody knew who EQO was. Some guy who played for Israel in the World Cup and then failed to qualify for Contenders Season 1 like a year and a half ago. Who on earth would have picked this guy up? It was Philadelphia Fusion. They look for the hidden gems, and that's why they're able to make it so far. So again, I really like this statement from Jayne. I think it means a lot, and I think a lot of people in general, from the Overwatch League, players, teams, coaches, and then viewers, fans outside of the Overwatch League, should take this in consideration and think about how they value a guy's reputation or prior accomplishments. Now, I know accomplishments do mean a lot, specifically the ones prior to the Overwatch League, like right before it, a few months and maybe like a year, but the ones like 2-3 years ago, like to Vic, you gotta throw those out of the window, guys. It's a completely different game. It's a new era. Like, that was before we even knew any Koreans, but that's got to be it. I don't want to talk anymore about this situation. I got my thoughts out and across the board. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to my channel for more daily Overwatch League content. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you for watching. Peace.